Swift will be replaced by XRP, as I've observed on Twitter. XRP to 10,000, correct? Would XRP be 10,000 if Ripple and XRP were to replace? We will discuss this, the data and the facts that support the data. There are a few more issues that need to be addressed as well. This piece was ideal because it covered a lot of the topics I wanted to discuss today, including XRP and escrow that has already been assigned. The significance of the US Reserve will be astounding for banks. We really need to talk about a few things here. All right, let me start by talking off. Let me just say that the value of the USA Reserve alone will be astounding. Initially, President Trump was unaware that the United States lacked XRP Solana and a D when he posted on Twitter about them being placed to the strategic reserve. In Pennsylvania, I did see an FBI raid. I believe they seized about $300 worth of XRP. It's definitely not a jaw-dropping amount. Right now, the only ways the US could obtain XRP would be to seize it from a criminal, have Ripple give it to the US government, or have Congress step in so taxpayer funds could be used. I am aware that they are trying to find ways to save money so that they can purchase more Bitcoin, not to purchase XRP. Additionally, telling individuals that the loon will lose value will be detrimental. With the facts we currently have, this is not true. Additionally, this individual mentioned that banks and escrow at XRP are already covered. This is something I've seen used a lot. What I have to say about this is, why does Ripple relock up XRP since, as you know, XRP in the escrow is already taken and accounted for? You are aware of what occurs when the escrow unlocks every month, right? Typically, 1 billion XRP is unlocked, isn't that right? Ripple chooses what to do with the XRP when it has been unlocked. Ripple would just move the XRP to the bank that was spoken for if it had previously been spoken for, right? Whose XRP is that? A bank owning that XRP wouldn't make sense, but Ripple thought, hey, you know what? This XRP is going to be relocked. Good luck for another 3.5 years, isn't it? Since there are 37 billion XRP in escrow, 1 billion is unlocked each month. It will take you an additional 37 months to cycle through the XRP that you recently relocked. Therefore, I disagree with this. Even if I completely disagree with this, I'll let you decide for yourselves. It is right about one thing: XRP has a high value price. Swift's volume would take over if XRP and a Ripple were to actually take over. The question now is, how much does it cost each day? Correct. We only have estimates, and, due to the velocity of money, it does alter as you go from daily to annual. Let me now demonstrate this for you, will I? Given that XRP may be reused relatively quickly, these calculations show that if Ripple were to manage $5 trillion every month in a circulating supply of 58 billion, that would be 8,621 per XRP. However, it does provide a staggering price of 21,551 per coin when you look at the annual scenarios. I then asked myself, is this right? Why would you offer me 21,000 for the annual scenario after giving me 86? Thus, there are some notes here. Simple theoretical models assume that all SWIFT transactions are promptly transformed to XRP demand, and that there is no money velocity, that is, that each XRP is utilized just once for each transaction. And neither regulatory considerations nor speculation about market liquidity are involved. I then asked, reviewing the annual scenario, you are stating that the price of XRP would be how much if Ripple XRP were to handle $1.25 quadrillion in payments annually? Because it did repopulate the same amount after I questioned this. Recognize that these AI models are extracting data from the internet. You would have to do this. Look at the precise sources from which all of this originated, However, these are some of the sources from which it drew for information as it was putting everything together. I therefore wanted to explore what a conversation GPT might produce using the same numbers. I therefore employ the exact same words and expressions. Additionally, it states that the annual value is between 1,200 trillion and 1,500 trillion, or 1.2 and 1.5 quadrillion. Here is the daily after that. If you look at $94, you'll see that this one came up with a fairly similar amount of $86. However, when you go to the annual report, it has greater value because it includes more. For me, $34,000 price tag is a really difficult pill to swallow, especially if the question is whether Ripple will take over quickly. Though, keep in mind that not all transfers will require XRP, thus a significant portion of this may include domestic payments. I believe Ripple may step in and assist speed things up with things like FX and certain other payment kinds. Perhaps a stable coin would be better for this. In light of this, I don't think XRP or Ripple will gain all of Switzerland's value, though I do think it might be helpful. I also think that other cryptocurrency assets, such as XLM, will also travel over the SWIFT system. Although I doubt there will be a single winner, I wanted to show you the math and what would happen if they did win everything. However, I don't believe that one cryptocurrency business will be able to achieve everything. However, payments are one thing, aren't they? When it comes to cross-border payments, I really believe that XRP is a fantastic option that will truly improve the world. It will lower the cost of payments, quicker and safer. However, we're also considering tokenized treasuries, correct? And the addition of tokenized value to the chain. And some of the most significant effects may occur here. Let me demonstrate. The debate over whether or not Web3 structured materials are important will only get more heated, and it won't have anything to do with politics. This Web3 small contract stablecoin container was designed with a huge quantity of treasuries. That will only become worse. There are currently between Saudi Arabia and South Korea, or possibly even more, US treasuries. Just take a quick look at this. China's mainland is one of the second largest purchasers of US treasury securities. They are actively trying to sell it. This is the reason why Trump and you, Treasurer Scott Bessent, are talking about rescuing the bond market, buying stable coins and cryptocurrency. Some of the largest bond buyers in the world are suddenly selling rather than purchasing. That is a serious issue that might lead the US financial system to implode. Therefore, you need a new buyer on the other end of all that selling. That is an issue of national security. Okay. And so when you imagine the bond market in the US for treasury bonds is $28.6 trillion if we woke up one day and that entire 28.6 trillion found its way onto, 2 or 3 different blockchains, the amount of value per token, whatever blockchain that value finds itself to live on, would just be an incredible number that would retire. Anybody holding that token